Good morning, 8th grade. You should have just finished watching the video on dramatic irony and the 3 types of irony. Now we're going to take those skills and put them to use with our Flowers for Algernon text. Our objective for today is I can analyze Key's use of dramatic irony to develop Charlie's new feelings and understandings. So we're going to be using that dramatic irony skill to look at Charlie's character and how he's developing. As we read, we want to underline places where Keyes uses dramatic irony. We're focusing on progress reports 8 and 9 and identify how they affect Charlie's feelings and understandings of both himself and of others. Because we're going to see how how Keyes' dramatic irony not only reveals Charlie's character, but reveals a lot about characters that have interacted with Charlie throughout the book so far. Here's our annotation guide. As you're reading, you should be annotating at least once per paragraph, underlining throughout, and using these symbols to annotate your text. So you should be looking at Progress Report 8 in your Flowers for Algernon text. I have it here just to make things easier while I'm recording. Progress Report 8, March 23rd. I'm going back to work at the factory. They said it was better, I should go back to work, but I can't tell anyone what the operation was for, and I have to come to the hospital for an hour every night after work. They're going to pay me money every month for learning to be smart. I'm glad I'm going back to work because I miss my job and all my friends and all the fun we have there. Dr. Strauss says I should keep writing things down, but I don't have to do it every day. Just when I think of something or something special happens. He says don't get discouraged because it takes time and it happens slow. He says it took a long time with Algernon before he got 3 times smarter than he was before. That's why Algernon beats me all the time, because he had that operation too. That makes me feel better. I could probably do that amazed faster than a regular mouse. Maybe someday I'll beat Algernon. Boy, that would be something. So far, Algernon looks like he might be smart permanent. So I want you to take a second to stop and jot the answer to this question. What do we learn about Algernon? And how does this knowledge make Charlie feel? So what do we learn about Algernon and how does Charlie feel about it? Here's our next dated report, March 25th. I don't have to write progress report on top anymore, just when I hand it in once a week for Dr. Namor to read. I just have to put the date on. That saves time. We had a lot of fun at the factory today. Joe Carp said, "Hey, look, where Charlie had his operation. What did they do, Charlie? Put some brains in?" I was going to tell him, but I remembered Dr. Strauss said no. Then Frank Riley said, "What did you do, Charlie? Forget your key and open your door the hard way?" That made me laugh. They're really my friends, and they like me. Sometimes somebody will say, "Hey, look at Joe, or Frank, or George. He really pulled a Charlie Gordon." I don't know why they say that, but they always laugh. This morning, Amos Borg, who is the foreman at Donegan's, used my name when he shouted at Ernie, the office boy. Ernie lost a package. He said, "Ernie, for God's sake, what are you trying to be, a Charlie Gordon?" I don't understand why he said that. I never lost any packages. So I'm going to underline the 2 pieces of text evidence that I have in our boxes here that says, "Hey, look at Joe or Frank or George. He really pulled a Charlie Gordon." And I don't understand why he said that. I never lost any packages. Because I think that these are some really strong examples of dramatic irony. Remember, our definition of dramatic irony is when the reader understands something that the character or the narrator does not. So thinking about these 2 lines in particular, and this section of text in particular, what is it that we as the reader understand that Charlie does not? So when they're saying, "Hey, look at Joe or Frank or George, he really pulled a Charlie Gordon," Charlie believes he's in on some sort of a joke, or this is them all being friends together. But what we really do understand when we read it is that they're just making fun of him. Calling somebody a Charlie Gordon is an insult. and Charlie's so-called friends, so I'm going to put them in quotation marks, are actually making fun of him. So I want you to then do the same. Jot for why is this sentence? I don't understand why he said that. I never lost any packages. An example of dramatic irony. What is it that we understand as the reader that Charlie is not understanding inside the text? March 28th. Dr. Strauss came to my room tonight to see why I didn't come in like I was supposed to. I told him I don't like to race with Algernon anymore. He said I don't have to for a while, but I should come in. He had a present for me, only it wasn't a present, but just for Lend. I thought it was a little television, but it wasn't. He said I got to turn it on when I go to sleep. I said, you're kidding. Why should I turn it on when I'm going to sleep? Who ever heard of a thing like that? But he said, if I want to get smart, I got to do what he says. I told him I didn't think I was going to get smart. And he put his hand on my shoulder and said, Charlie, you don't know it yet, but you're getting smarter all the time. You won't notice it for a while. I think he was just being nice to make me feel good because I don't look any smarter. Oh yes, I almost forgot. I asked him when I can go back to the class at Miss Kinnian's school. He said I won't go there. He said soon Miss Kinnian will come to the hospital to start and teach me special. I was mad at her for not coming to see me when I got the operation, but I like her, so maybe we'll be friends again. I'm going to underline this line that says, Charlie, you don't know it yet, but you're getting smart all the time, or smarter all the time. Because I think this is another example of dramatic irony. I think that this one is a little bit different than the last in just that we do see some advances in Charlie so far with his descriptions, with the questions that he's asking, with the way that he's talking. But Charlie clearly can't see it for himself yet. So I'm going to write the reader can see Charlie's progress while Charlie still can walk. It's not exactly the clearest example of dramatic irony, but it does show an understanding that the reader has that Charlie does not have. March 29th. That crazy TV kept me up all night. How can I sleep with something yelling crazy things all night in my ears? And the nutty pictures. Wow. I don't know what it says when I'm up, so how am I going to know when I'm sleeping? Dr. Strauss says it's okay. He says, my brains are learning when I sleep, and that will help me when Miss Kinnian starts my lessons at the hospital. Only I found out it isn't a hospital. It's a laboratory. I think it's all crazy. If you can get smart when you're sleeping, why do people go to school? That thing, I don't think it will work. I used to watch The Late Show and The Late Late Show on TV all the time, and it never made me smart. Maybe you have to sleep while you watch it. So again, I'm going to underline these two pieces of text evidence that are in our box. Only I found out it isn't a hospital, it's a laboratory. And I used to watch The Late Show and The Late Late Show on TV all the time, and it never made me smart. So I think that this is an interesting example of dramatic irony. Because this is Charlie finding something out that's new that we might have understood before, but he's still not making those connections. He keeps referring to his operation and his surgery and the hospital, and I think what we have started to understand is that this isn't really an operation or a surgery that somebody does for their health or somebody does to get well. It's really more of an experiment, and experiments are done in laboratories, and they're done by scientists, not doctors. So while Charlie is viewing this as an operation, as a surgery, as something to make him well, we have an understanding that Charlie is an experiment, and the operation isn't to make him well, but to advance science. The doctors aren't really doctors, they're more of scientists. And this experiment is